Hi there, how's it going? Today is Saturday, May 3rd, 2025, currently 65 degrees Fahrenheit, that is 18 degrees Celsius. It is kinda chilly. The weather has changed since my travels in the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, and Egypt. So I am not going to tell you where I am yet until the end of the video. Here we got some English language. So going to keep this one a bit of a mystery for now as I tell the story of yesterday and my stressful taxi Uber ride experience in Cairo to the airport to catch my flight yesterday evening to here. I'm not going to give any more hints because I think that this is going to be an easy guess for many of you. But as I said, I'll tell you where I am at the end of the video. So yesterday, as I showed, I had a very short, basically a layover in Giza, Egypt. Giza is, of course, where the Great Pyramids are on the outside of Cairo. Giza is another city that is basically part of Cairo, Egypt. And so I was headed in this direction of the world and really just made that stop in Egypt because of the flights. I didn't have a particular mission of wanting to go back to Egypt and see the pyramids again, since I'd seen them a couple times before. Okay, let's get across the street over here. So I'm walking over to get some breakfast. It is about 10 in the morning, and I need to get over to the sea. The hotel where I'm staying isn't the best location. It's a little ways from the main area of all the restaurants by the beaches here. I'm not quite sure how far away I am, so we will find out in the course of this walk. All right, you might be getting another clue, which is that they're driving on the left side of the road. Okay, is this a walkway or looks like it? All right, so I spent only one night in Egypt. I had booked a room for 2 nights because my flight was at 6:45 in the evening yesterday. And so I needed to leave at around like 3:30 in the afternoon because it is a 40-minute drive from the area by the pyramids there out to the Sphinx airport. So not the main Cairo airport. There's another airport that I hadn't known about until I came across that flight that is on the other side of the pyramids from Cairo, basically just like out in the desert in the middle of nowhere out there, about a 40-minute drive. And so I had to factor that in. So when I had flown in the day before that, then I had arranged for the hotel where I was staying to send a taxi to pick me up at the airport. I wanted to avoid the taxi, complications, haggling, trying to get a good price, and just have somebody waiting there for me. And so that taxi was $15. Egypt is quite inexpensive. Okay, here we are at the port. Let's see if the road over there is going to continue through. At least now I know where the sea is, and I know that I need to walk along it down this way. What you're seeing here, quite a derelict area, and we're obviously still out of the tourist season here. But once I get over to the main area, it is a nice, just like classic beach scene with touristy restaurants and everything. So I really have no idea how far away that is at this point. So the taxi ride had been $15 to go from the Sphinx airport to my hotel. Now, kind of a side note, I get to my hotel and it turns out that the room I'm supposed to be staying in doesn't have any water. The water isn't flowing. It's the only room that he has left, and he doesn't know how long it's going to take to fix the water situation. And so he just tells me, I'm sorry, we have to cancel this. And so then I had to go to another hotel nearby and find another room. Yeah. But I wasn't charged, at least, for that other room. And so as I showed, I go to the pyramids, a little bit of a rush walk around the pyramids and the Sphinx there, and then I need to run back and get all packed up and get a ride. So right before I headed out to go visit the pyramids, then I stopped at the reception desk at my hotel to pay the dinner bill, because I had dinner the previous night on the rooftop overlooking the pyramids. Quite an amazing spot there to have dinner with the pyramids all lit up in the evening. And so I needed to pay the dinner bill. And while I was there, then I asked him about a taxi, and he said it was going to be $25. It had been $15 with the previous hotel. Also, I had already checked Uber, and Uber works, and it was showing it as being only like $6. Egypt is very, very inexpensive. And so $15 that I paid for the taxi the first time, and then he's charging $25, and then Uber is saying $6. And so I said no thanks on the taxi with them and decided to go with Uber. Of course, Uber is what you use because it is reliable, safe, supposed to be easy. Not in this case. So I do my tour of the pyramids, get back to the room, quick pack everything up, and I then get on my phone and order the Uber while I'm in my room, but just about ready to leave. It says it's going to be 10 minutes for the driver to come. So I head out. The hotel is down a back alley, and so I walk over to the main road and send a note in the Uber app to the guy saying where that is. It's not very far away from the hotel, but I don't get a response, and then I see that he's going through the back alleys, and so I head back to my hotel and then find him there coming down the alleys. So things are looking good at that point. I have plenty of time. I left extra time in case of any complications. And so I get in the car, and then he doesn't speak any English, like, at all, which, you know, I understand. I'm in Egypt, it's their country, they speak Arabic, but many people in Egypt do speak quite good English. And so it's a little bit, you know, not exactly a surprise, but it's actually a little bit out of the ordinary that he doesn't speak any English, because so many Egyptians do speak quite good English. And so this proves to be part of the complicating factor. And so he sends me a message within the app, even though I'm sitting in the back of the car. and I take a look at it. Now, when I saw that the price was only $6, my thought was, that seems too cheap, even for Egypt, for a 40-minute taxi ride. But Uber is Uber, and so I just assumed that makes sense. So he sends me a message in the Uber app, which fortunately translates it into English. And so I read the message, and it says that basically Uber doesn't charge nearly enough for this ride for some bizarre reason, and so it needs to be more expensive. And I totally understand, because having traveled in Egypt a fair amount, then I felt the same way, that just was way too cheap. And also he explains that because this airport isn't especially busy, then there aren't any flights coming in at the time that we will be arriving there, and so he isn't going to be able to get another rider back. And so it isn't just a 40-minute drive for him, it's 40 minutes there and 40 minutes back. So, an hour and a half of driving for him for $6. And then also, I guess there are some tolls along the way. And so I totally understand, like, okay, that's fine. Now I pull my wallet out of my backpack, and I have 700 Egyptian pounds. So the original price of the Uber ride was going to be 300 pounds. That is $6, 50 pounds to $1. And so 300 pounds, the price according to Uber, I have 700 in cash. And so I pull that out thinking, okay, well, this should be perfect. I'm tripling the price from $6 to now, plus the 700 is 14. And so that's like 20 bucks now for the price, which is more than the taxi from the airport to my hotel initially, but a little bit less than the $25, and so like right in that range. And so I hand him that, and he looks at it, and then he says $5, like that's like as much English as he can say. He says like $5. And so he's saying another $5. And so I say, okay, that's fine. Fair enough. The problem is I don't have any money now in the local Egyptian currency. I have $100 Canadian, two $50 Canadian notes, and a $100 US bill. And that is it. And so now it's a conundrum of, okay, well, how am I going to convert? We got a lot of stray cats around here. Meow. Convert this money into Egyptian pounds, but I'm thinking, okay, let's just get to the airport and I will go to the exchange desk there and deal with it. I just want to get this ride going, because although I have, a little extra time, it's not a lot, and we have a long journey ahead of us. And so I really just want to get this done, and $5, whatever, doesn't matter. So we're kind of corresponding. He's sending me messages about how to pay the extra cash. And then at some point he says 5 and 5. So now he wants $10. And then I realize, oh, I can add a tip in the Uber app and cover the extra that way. And so I'm thinking that that is a solution. And so we're driving along, and then he says like bank. And I'm thinking, oh no, I don't want to stop at a bank, go into a bank, wait in a line. Who knows what they're going to expect, how long this is going to take. And then the Uber's sitting out there with my backpack. I'll have my little day pack here with me wherever I go, but then my big backpack with all the rest of my stuff is, you know, sitting in this car parked outside. I really don't want to deal with that. And then he says ATM, and so this is all just to get $10. And so I say, okay, stop at an ATM. But then when I say, okay, I get you $10 for the extra amount, then at some point, like, he does some calculations or something, and he says, no, $20. So I'm in a sticky situation because I'm really dependent on this guy at this point. I can't just say, forget it, pull over, I'm gonna do something else, find another ride, because for one thing, we're still on the Uber ride. We didn't cancel it, so that is still active. And also, we are, you know, driving along. It's just middle of nowhere. You aren't in the city now. It's these freeways. It's just like vast open desert, a few buildings here and there. But if I like jump out in protest over the extra $10, then I'm completely screwed. I'm not going to find a taxi out there. An Uber isn't going to come out there. I don't want to, you know, get in a dispute with them over $10. I just need to get to the airport, not miss this flight, not end up in some sort of argument, situation, whatever. And so I say, okay, fine, $20. And so we pull over at an ATM, and I hop out with my backpack. He's parked right there. It was at this gas station where there's a security guard there, and then the ATM. So it all around seems perfectly secure. And I mostly kind of trust this guy, but not entirely. For one thing, we're on the Uber, you know, ride, and so that is different from a taxi in which you're less certain that they're going to do the right thing, because they could drive off with your backpack, try to rip you off, scam you, whatever, and there's no accountability. But with the Uber ride in progress, then that has his information, his phone number, his license plate. You can contact Uber and complain. So there's that sort of collateral, so to speak, in which they don't want to screw up, because you can then, you know, report it to Uber and mess with their job, you know, get them kicked off of Uber or whatever. So that's a bit of insurance, so to speak. But still, it just feels a little weird. And so I hop out, go to the ATM, I withdraw 1,000 Egyptian pounds, which is basically exactly $20. And then go back to the car. Now, the $20 plus the 700 Egyptian pounds that I paid him was 14, plus the $6 that I am going to get charged by Uber. So now we're at $40. But also, because I made that withdrawal, now fortunately the ATM did not charge me a fee, but my bank charges me $5 to make a international withdrawal. So now this ride is costing me $45 when I could have just spent $25 paying the hotel. But hindsight is 20/20. I couldn't have anticipated all this hassle with the ride. So you know, it is what it is. An extra $20, no huge deal. I just want to get to this flippin' airport. So I go to hop in the car, and then the security guard gets in the car in the front seat. And so this is weird. He says basically like in Arabic something to me explaining why he's hopping in the car, and then later I realized that he'd sent me a message again on Uber saying the security guard is going to ride with me just a little ways, basically. And so we drive a little ways further up the road there to like a food cart, something like that, and then he drops him off. So no big deal as it turns out, but for a few minutes there it was like, okay, this is very bizarre. Now there's two guys in this car, you know, are they plotting something or what? But things worked out, no big deal. So he drops off the security guard guy and we keep on going. By the way, now I recognize where we are. We've been going for like 20 minutes or so, walking from my hotel. And this is the beginning of the tourist zone down here. There's a big clue right there. So we keep on driving, and then he makes another stop at this area with all these food stalls. He makes a motion like he wants to get something to drink. And so he gets out of the car, and I'm just like on edge about everything because this has just turned into a much more complicated, stressful situation than I had anticipated. And so I'm just hoping no further delays, complications. He comes up with something else, says, oh, I want to stop at my friend's house and grab something. You know, it's like this very kind of unpredictable feeling ride in which I just don't know what's going to happen next. And so he gets out of the car and goes up to this cart and is ordering something, and then he comes back to the car with a bottle of water and hands it to me. And so he's being nice, and then he says Pepsi, Coke, like he's asking me if I want another drink. So I'm headed to the airport, where once we arrive I have to ditch all my water to go through security, and I already have a full water bottle of my own in my pack here, and so I don't need the water, but I accept it. But then he says, you know, you want a drink? I'm not thirsty. I say, oh, no, and he insists. And so I say, okay, Sprite. And so he goes back, and then I see him interacting with the person there, and it becomes clear that that person doesn't have a Sprite. And so the person working at the little cart thing leaves there and like goes to another one to get the Sprite apparently. And so the whole time I'm just like, oh man, come on, get me out of here. I just want to get out of this taxi and be at the airport and be, you know, done with this whole thing. So here's the bus stop where you can catch buses to various places around this island. And I'll tell you where we are in just a minute. So here you can see getting to the touristy restaurants. So finally he comes back to the car, hands me the Sprite. We get back on the road, and no more delays, complications, misunderstandings, other than there is a security check to get into the airport. So hoping, you know, no issues there. They like go around the car with that mirror thing and ask him some questions and peer in at me, but nothing further there. We get in, and he drops me off, and that's it. Finally, mission accomplished. And I have plenty of time for my flight. It is quite a small, quiet airport. Doesn't take long to get through. check-in, security, all that stuff. There you can see, nice beach out there. Weather not looking good for a swim. As I said, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 Celsius, with a sea breeze going on. And so I have, you know, my socks and sandals, long sleeve shirt. I could use my warm hat, didn't bring that. If it was sunny, it could be warm here. As it is supposed to be in the coming days, it had showed a stormy day today, and then it looks nice and sunny going forwards from here. So where we are is Larnaca, Cyprus. This is my 4th time to Cyprus. Mediterranean island divided by a border separating the Greek southern part of the island and the Turkish northern part of the island. I have explored both sides, went on a whole road trip in northern Cyprus. I forget when that was, maybe 2 years ago. Very interesting country with a lot of history. After the Trojan War, the Greeks who were coming back from the war ended up settling here, some of them. So there we are, Larnaca. And very Greek sounding names. Voroklini, Ormadea, Shiloragu. I've never been to that. Sea Caves and Tower. There, the airport, about 15 minutes away. Larnaca Port, that is what I came across, and then we must be somewhere in here. Castella Beach. So, I don't know what I'm doing next yet. I booked 2 nights at the hotel there, so last night and tonight, and so I need to make up my mind today where I'm going tomorrow, or if I'm staying here. I basically just booked a flight here because there was this cheap flight from that Sphinx airport. There weren't a whole lot of flights out of there, and so this was really the best choice other than going to London, England, which would be out of the way because I don't plan to go that far west for now. Okay, up ahead we have the old forget if it's a fort or what, but basically this is the strip. So that is one of my missions for today, is make up my mind what I'm doing, check flights. There are various flight options out of here, and so just have to make a decision based on various factors, including the weather, because I definitely want nicer, sunnier weather than this, which will be easy enough to find. Lots of places in this part of the world are getting nice and warm. Spring is here, summer is on the way. So time for me to get some breakfast. I'm going to go back to this British pub where I can get a English breakfast and watch the skies, see what happens. It could rain at any time here, and basically just get to work on the video editing and figuring out my travel plans for tomorrow. So there you go, Larnaca, Cyprus. I just felt a raindrop. Time to get underneath something. More raindrops coming. All right, more coming from somewhere. We shall see where. Have a good one. Plane there, landing at the airport.